The Earth has never been a static world. It has been shaped, reshaped, and sculpted over billions of years, not by human hands, but by forces greater than us. Ice ages have frozen continents, volcanoes have forged new land, and shifting climates have erased entire ecosystems. Nature has always been in control. But what if that changed? What if, for the first time in history, humanity took the planet's future into its own hands? Not just in small ways, but on a planetary scale? Terraforming. It's a word we associate with distant worlds, with the dream of making Mars habitable or turning lifeless planets into Earth-like environments. But what if the real target of terraforming wasn't another world at all? What if it was Earth itself? Some scientists believe we may soon have no other choice. With rising temperatures, mass extinctions, and extreme weather events growing more frequent, the question isn't just how to stop climate change. It's whether we should start actively redesigning Earth's climate altogether. In a way, we've already begun. From damming rivers to rerouting ocean currents, humans have been altering the planet for thousands of years, often without fully understanding the consequences. Now, with advances in geoengineering, we may be on the verge of doing something unprecedented, deliberately reprogramming Earth's climate system. Technologies like carbon capture, artificial cloud formation, and solar reflection could allow us to manipulate global temperatures, control rainfall, and even stabilize ecosystems. If done correctly, some argue, we could prevent the worst effects of climate change, reversing centuries of damage. But here's the dilemma. Throughout history, every attempt to control nature has led to unintended consequences. When we dammed rivers, we created deserts. When we introduced new species to control pests, we triggered ecological collapses. The more we intervene, the more complex and unpredictable the system becomes. What happens when the experiment is no longer local, but planetary? If we take control of Earth's climate, are we saving our world, or turning it into something unrecognizable? For centuries, nature has dictated the rules of survival. But today, science offers us the tools to rewrite them. What was once the domain of mythology, controlling the weather, shaping landscapes, even altering the atmosphere, now sits on the edge of technological reality. One approach focuses on capturing carbon directly from the air, pulling back the emissions that have driven global temperatures upward. Machines already exist that can do this. Massive towers filtering CO2, turning it into stone, or even repurposing it for fuel. In theory, a network of such systems could reverse centuries of damage, but the scale required is staggering. To make a real impact, we wouldn't need a few of these machines. We'd need millions, running non-stop for decades. Other methods take a more direct approach. Some scientists propose spraying aerosols into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight, cooling the planet in the same way volcanic eruptions have done in the past. The logic is simple: less heat from the sun, lower global temperatures. But what happens when the effects aren't uniform? If one nation cools its skies, could another suffer devastating droughts? Still, some experiments aim not at blocking the sun, but at reshaping entire ecosystems. In the Himalayas, researchers have tested artificial glaciers, massive ice towers designed to store winter meltwater for the dry season. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, some propose using reflective materials to prevent ice from melting entirely. These ideas aren't theoretical. They're already being tested. Yet, the biggest question remains: can we engineer stability on a planet that has never been stable? Nature thrives on complexity. Every climate shift, every storm, every drought is part of an interconnected system. If we begin to interfere, do we risk unraveling the balance altogether? Or is intervention the only way to secure the future of our world? For every action, there is a reaction. Nature has always worked this way, an unbreakable chain of cause and effect. When we manipulate one part of the system, the rest shifts in ways we don't always anticipate. The more we try to control, the more we must ask, what happens when our solutions become the next problem? History is full of unintended consequences. In the 20th century, the Soviet Union diverted 2 rivers to irrigate farmland, expecting prosperity. Instead, the Aral Sea, once one of the world's largest lakes, shrank to a fraction of its size, turning into a desert. The same pattern has repeated across the world. Projects meant to stabilize nature, dammed rivers, reforested lands, modified coastlines, have in many cases created new disasters. But what happens when the scale of intervention isn't a single sea or a stretch of coastline, but the entire planet? Geoengineering proposals like solar radiation management could cool the Earth, but at what cost? Some models predict that changing global temperatures unevenly could lead to unpredictable weather shifts, monsoons drying up, hurricanes growing stronger, entire regions seeing permanent drought. And then, there's the risk of something even more irreversible. If we begin injecting aerosols into the atmosphere and later stop, the planet could experience a sudden surge in warming, a phenomenon scientists call termination shock. It wouldn't be a slow return to previous temperatures, but a rapid and devastating heat spike, possibly worse than the original problem. Even carbon capture, seen by many as a safer intervention, isn't without risks. If we remove too much CO2 too quickly, could we disrupt delicate ecosystems that have already adapted to higher carbon levels? Could we accidentally push Earth's systems in a direction we never intended? Then there's the most unpredictable element of all, human nature. If one nation or corporation controls terraforming technology, could they use it for their own benefit, at the expense of others? If climate interventions favor some regions, while harming others, could this trigger conflicts over the very forces that sustain life? Once we start engineering the planet, there may be no turning back. But if the alternative is unchecked climate collapse, is doing nothing the greater risk? In the pursuit of control, we may be opening doors we can never close. If humanity steps into the role of planetary engineer, who decides how far we go, who determines the ideal temperature of the Earth, which regions benefit, and which ones suffer, these questions are no longer hypothetical. As the climate crisis deepens, so does the pressure to act. But when solutions have global consequences, governance becomes as critical as the science itself. Some believe that international cooperation is the only safeguard. If the future of the planet is at stake, shouldn't every nation have a say? Climate treaties have tried to create common ground before, but history shows us that when power and survival are on the line, collaboration isn't guaranteed. If one country unilaterally deploys geoengineering technology, could others see it as a threat? Could climate intervention itself become a new form of geopolitical warfare? There's also the question of corporate control. In a world where technology often advances faster than regulation, could terraforming become a business? Some of the world's wealthiest individuals have already invested in climate engineering projects. If private companies gain control over planetary-scale interventions, could the fate of the Earth rest in the hands of a few? And what about the long-term consequences? Terraforming is not a one-time switch. It's a continuous process. If future generations inherit an Earth dependent on artificial stabilization, could they ever stop? Or would they be forced to maintain a system they never chose? With no way to reverse it, the deeper we go, the lines blur. Are we saving the planet or rewriting it? Are we taking responsibility or assuming a power we don't fully understand? The answers are uncertain. But one thing is clear: if we decide to reshape the world, we must also prepare for the world we create. The idea of terraforming Earth is not just about science. It is about defining the future. If we take control of the planet's systems, we are making a decision that will echo through generations. Will they inherit a world saved from catastrophe, or one locked in a cycle of endless intervention? For some, the answer is clear. The risks of inaction outweigh the risks of intervention. If climate change continues unchecked, the world as we know it may not survive. Rising seas, extreme weather, collapsing ecosystems. These are not distant threats, but unfolding realities. But others warn that once we begin, there is no undoing the choice. Nature is complex in ways we may never fully understand. Every past attempt to control it has come with consequences, some foreseen, many not. What if, in trying to fix one crisis, we create another? What if we push the planet into an even more unstable state? Then, there is the question of who decides. Climate intervention is not just a technological challenge, it is an ethical one. Do we trust governments to act in the interest of all? Do we trust corporations to wield such power responsibly? What role do we, as individuals, play in shaping the choices that will define the planet? Perhaps the most unsettling truth is that we may not have the luxury of certainty. The climate is changing, and the forces driving it will not wait for perfect answers. Whether through action or inaction, humanity will shape what comes next. And one question remains: are we prepared for the responsibility of engineering the world, or the consequences of leaving it to chance? This video has come to an end, but the discovery continues. Check out more content on the channel, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thank you for watching.